We're going to do a little Q&A for a bit, just of what are questions off of that? What are things that you're like, hey, good idea, but that's not going to work? Or anything that came up at your table. So we'll do that for a couple minutes, and then, yeah, I see that hand. And then we're going to take a break. So we'll go to break in like 10, 15 minutes. Yep. Perfect. Adam Reed. I'm going to repeat the question because we're recording, and it only picks up our mics. We got the power. Just kidding. Now that's on there too. Hello to all of you listening to this again. Remember this moment. So question is, we do 2 different services. Tell me if I'm saying this right. The cultures of the 2 different services seem different. So using the funnel, using all of this, do we just push copy paste, or do we do something different for one service as opposed to the second service, even though we're doing the same set? Is that the question? Great. Yeah, great question.
For us and our services, the response of the people has changed through different years and different seasons. So a conversation we have regularly is, man, the last few weeks, the 8:30's been awake, And what happened to the...
Which never happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It actually does, though. It does. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. Just why all of y'all are going to come to the 8:30?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
But it's like, so we're aware of it. We're having that conversation. I think that's the main thing I would say is, instead of it being kind of a side comment, a side observation, I want to refuse to allow there to be an attitude with us that one becomes the favored service, because the favored service isn't just like it's service; it's a group of people, So we like these people more or whatever. But the reality is, man, for us, we have a service that a lot of our college students come to, and a lot of the college students who are going to come to that have already come to the college service. So if they're coming to church that much, they're young, they're energetic, and they want to be here. It just changes things, It really does. So we don't be ignorant. We don't want to be ignorant of it. We want to be aware of it. And we do have the conversation of like, hey, this service will probably end up doing that spontaneous song that we've kind of wanted to do, but we haven't had time to do in the last service, or, that kind of thing can happen for sure. But we're pretty intentional about it, meaning I'm talking about what culture we're creating in that service. For us, it actually has kind of moved around a little bit. And our main thing right now is that we have 4 services. Our 10 o'clock service, everybody wants to go to. So every new person, just think about it. If you woke up and you thought, I've never been to church before, but I guess I'll try today. You're not going, let's hit up the 8:30, It's like you haven't been going to church on Sundays. You're going to look at what's that next service, And for us, surprisingly, people don't really think I'll go to church at night here in Texas.
Waco.
Yeah, in Waco. Yeah. Yeah, in
Are we? Jesus.
But so people come to that 10 o'clock service. So, everybody wants to go to the 10 o'clock service because they don't want to go to the 8:30, and you get an 11:30 service, and after that there's a football game, and you're missing some of it. So just schedule your life right. Show up at 10 with 1,500 other people, and our room seats less than 1,100. So we push our people who are committed to please go to other services. Well, what happens is now our 10 o'clock service is full of new people, like packed to the walls and into the overflow with brand new people every service. So it's actually not the most engaged service. It's just big. And the 8:30 service has some kind of committed people who've been around for a while who actually obeyed Jimmy and came to the 8:30 service, because they heard him ask us to at least do that, and they're the kind of people that are like, I'm gonna do it because Jimmy asked me to, And then the 11:30 is where the college 11:30 is where the college go, and then the 5 o'clock people walk in and they're all wearing like Hawaiian shirts and the khakis, and they like just woke up and roll out of bed with their gym shorts on. It's so funny.
They woke up at 4:30 p.m.
Seriously, yeah. They walk in, see me like, dude, church, cool. You know, it's a totally different feel. You know what I'm talking about. I've got friends, I'm looking at you like, wow. I mean, we just have a 5 o'clock service, so you just don't have to even wear clothes barely, you know? What's up? But the issue is there is that, man, it's another weekday. I mean, another weekend. Like, they just woke up late. They had breakfast with the family. They went out in the yard and played for a little while. And then at 5 o'clock p.m., they showed up at church. So that feel is very different. It also doesn't have the back end of another service. What I'm trying to communicate here is we're very aware of those, and we talk about them pretty consistently. So it might be that we just decide in one of those things that this service, we're just going to do this, you know, or in this service, we're not going to do this service. In this service, we're going to push this a little more, depending on, you know, there's so many dynamics, I know, but it's just something that's a conversation we keep, not just with me and him. This is a conversation with Jimmy, with JD, who leads our production, and with our communication people. We talk through that stuff. So that we're aware of it. And especially so I'm not like, man, that 5 o'clock service is boring. And they're like, no, it's not. That's not boring at all. What you're discerning is boring. You're kind of off with that. That's just laid back. They're actually fully engaged with you. So we have that kind of conversation as well, so that we're all, you know, in agreement what we're discerning needs to, who is this group and what do they need. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say the only thing that we would add is, especially for our 8:30, or if we know there's a lot of new people or something, we'll coach our leaders to say like, hey, you're leading them, they're not leading you. So if people are not engaged with you, like help them out. You know, you need to talk a little more, or you need to kind of help people get engaged. And we do. We do have our services that's like, we can sing Mary Had a Little Lamb and people are with us. And then we have songs that we have services.
Because she did.
Okay. Hashtag Lamb O God. So some people just got the joke.
I actually was in a place where somebody sang that as a prophetic song one time.
No.
Yeah.
Next question.
Right here.
That's the only thing you need to know right there. No, just kidding. So we will coach our leaders to say, hey, if you feel like it's dragging, we might need to camp out here a little more, or we might need to do something. So, but we experience that as well. And it's not that we curtail it to be one or the other, but if we know people aren't with us, we don't go on as if they are. So we'll work to get people with us. We're talking more about specifically leading a crowd a little later, so we'll touch more on that. Sarah. Question is, how do we take people, what was the first part of the question? Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm not summarizing well. The goal is to take people somewhere new. Yeah, if we want to take some people somewhere new, how do we do that at the same time still have wide funnel? Do you want to take that? I have some thoughts. Okay, so I think for one of the things is there's a difference of what people want and what people need. That was the first part of the question, of what do people need. And so I think sometimes people don't see what they need, and it takes them, you know, they're tired, so they don't want to raise their hands, or they don't want to have, you know, go wherever. And so I think that's part of it, is it's our job to discern what do these people need right now. And it might be like they just need to be stretched, or they need to get outside their comfort zone. Yeah, please.
You can answer either in the context of like a weekly,
Okay.
set process, or over time too.
Yeah.
I feel like that
Yeah, that's great. So I would say the thing that I'm looking for in that is if the people are with me, meaning like I'm not trying to take some people knew the very first moment that they walk in the door. I'm just trying to help people get their eyes off of, you know, their car that's in the shop or whatever. With the goal of at the end being able to take people somewhere, or by, you know, the second or third song even. So I think, I don't know if that's really answering your question as much to say, take people somewhere new. That's our job as leaders, is to take people to places that they're not, you know, and to get them outside of where they are currently, what they're feeling currently, and to say there's more of God that you're not feeling, you're not experiencing. And so my only thought to add on to that, and then I'll let you talk, is just to make sure that we're leading people well and not just saying I'm going somewhere new, but bringing we're saying we're gonna do this together, or let's sing this out together, or like explaining and coaching well so that people feel like I'm not just off doing my own thing, but that wow, what he's doing is powerful, and then I'm inviting them in to say, hey, sing this with me, or to even explain what just happened, or something like that, to where it's something that's powerful, it's something that's needed, but I'm still bringing people along with me and leading people into that moment, rather than just saying like, I can't think of a good example, but so I don't know if you have any other things.
I think the main goal for me, we've used a lot of language. Are the people with me? Are we tracking? Those kinds of things. Really, what that means to me is their faith engaged, not just kind of are they just here but not really tapped in. It's not just are we all thinking similar thoughts. Is your faith engaged right now? Because I know that as leaders, we can just start talking about Jesus. If I just start talking about Jesus, you guys will start responding. You have trained hearts to respond to that. And that's really where we're bringing people, is we respond. We're wanting them to respond to Jesus. And so we're saying things that he's alive, he's real, he's the God of the breakthrough, things that they need to hear and be reminded of so that they can step in that place. So I think you had to know whatever crowd you're leading for. So, Owen mentioned probably 3 or 4 different crowds that he's led for. So when we lead in the training school, that's going to be a very different experience than we lead on a Sunday. So again, we talk about that. We don't leave that to everybody's assumptions as to what that means. We define this is a different group. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Owen after having led down in the training school, and I said, I kind of had this feeling like, wow, these people are so in love with Jesus. I could go anywhere. And I felt like the Lord spoke to me very clearly in that moment and said, I am still telling them that I love them. So don't go off on this prophetic song that you're about to, because that's you, but I'm still telling them that I love them. And I came upstairs and told him that, and he was like, I led for 3 hours the other day, and God kept saying, I'm just letting them know I love them. So I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, these people are so young, they're so passionate, and I think they would want to go wherever we went, and I think they would, but God wasn't necessarily saying he would do that. He just wanted to continue to invest in that way. When I'm on a Sunday, I'm having this conversation with God with interludes of music and just kind of whatever. On a Sunday, we don't have that much space. And let me put it this way, we haven't given ourselves that much space. I'm not trapped. I'm not, like, I don't know what to do with myself. I want to worship more. Like, I do feel that way at times, but really, we have decided this is what's good. We could have an hour and a half service. We have decided not to do that. That's for us. If you are going to, great. I'd say go as long as your people can go, but that's not the crowd that we're reaching on Sunday. So we have to be very intentional about taking them somewhere new, specifically in worship. So I have to bring that and say, here's where I'm going. Every once in a while it comes up kind of spontaneous, and I'm about to do this, but I'm doing this on behalf of a team of about 5 leaders who are fully engaged with these people. And if I do that, later we're gonna debrief it, So I don't need to do it just because I'm tired of not doing something. Can I get an amen? All right. I don't need to do that, but I also don't need to just go to sleep myself and be like, well, just the Sunday church, just hit autopilot. Can't wait till I get to lead for the real believers, to really like that. I know you feel that temptation at times if you lead for those different environments, but to be alive and awake to what the Holy Spirit's saying to these people. So if you go volunteer, at a boys or girls club, it's very different than walking into one of our children's Sunday church services. The kinds of things you would say to communicate Jesus, it can be similar for our Sunday services and other services. So I think discern, and then we're having a conversation all the time. And I am going to tend to want to push that a little bit. Like let's let's sing something new. Let's go somewhere new. Let's not stay babies for longer than we need to stay babies. Let's take another step. And I'm also being checked by my other people who are saying, you also have sung that song 20 times, and we've actually only sung it twice. You've led it 20 times in your life and little things and your band and everything, but we've only sung that song twice. We don't know it yet. And I'm like, we're ready to move on, to something different. And it's so powerful, and I just want to go here with it. So I have those conversations. We can fight about it at times. We can get frustrated with each other at times, but it's a team effort. And that's why I can say from us as a conviction, as we're leading these different groups, we are trying to be intentional about each of them, And we specifically have groups that we say, get in there and just try stuff, just figure it out, like in the moment with God, because they'll go there with you. And so discerning the group and taking those risks. I know that if I stop taking those risks, something's wrong. Like I've gone to sleep inside, or I've given up on a group, And again, you look at Jesus, and he's not doing that, He's not giving up on them.
Last question. Here's the question. Stall for time. So
Let's repeat that question.
the question is, we keep using the phrase, you can tell people are with you, you can tell people are in. How would you describe, or how would you share with someone else who's a younger leader, or if you're trying to give people what's that moment look like, how would you put that into words for people?
I think the main way is I encourage when they nailed it. I encourage when someone steps into a moment, and if I feel like it's not prevalent among our group of leaders that they're discerning those moments, then I'll make a big deal of it. In front of everybody. Like, man, did y'all feel what happened right there just now? And did you see that I did that? So we stay pretty intentional about encouraging those moments. And also, at times, there's certain ones of our leaders that we know they've got it in them to step into those moments a little bit and lead to those moments, but maybe they're a little hesitant. And so we'll give them a little encouragement, and then they'll go for it. And it's kind of like, well, that was more like you just sang, and we all were singing. You didn't really lead us, or you didn't really take a hold of that moment and bring the people somewhere. And so we'll say that. We'll say, hey, you did a good job. Did you see this? Or did you see that? And I'm paying attention. He's paying attention to that, one of us or both of us, and so that we can encourage, or so that we can say, and honestly, I would say this, most of the time people and other leaders, they have a grid for when they don't hit the mark, We allow them to have that, to self-actualize that, I think that's mostly what we do in those moments,
I'm teaching on that
You
tomorrow. I
record
said
that?
don't steal that.
Mm.
One other thing that I would say, just a practical that I'm looking for, is crowd engagement. Of if I'm looking for how many crossed arms are there, which is a very practical thing, and people can totally be engaged with God with their arms crossed, not singing. That's a very possible thing. Yeah, Kaylin, uncross those arms. Just kidding. I'm loving this session right now. No, just kidding. I'm not looking right now. But in a worship setting, when I just see the blank stares, I know nobody's with me, And so that's a lot of what I'm feeling. I think a lot of it is, when a moment happens, you go through and say, hey, did you sense that? Did you feel that? Yeah. We want that to happen again. And because it is a discernment thing of, I'm trying to see, did they see in that moment that people were with them? And so it isn't a lot of, we have to go back and say, did you feel that? Did you get that? And
it's kind of built into our culture now. So we do it so much that as soon as we walk off the stage from leading, we start having a conversation. Like we don't make that happen. Our people will walk off and be like, man, that was powerful. And then they'll kind of start talking about why. Or, wow, that was dead, and what happened, And so I think those conversations begin to happen naturally as we've initiated them.